Good evening. Let's go ahead and take a look at added fractions. There seemed to have been some confusion. So I'm going to open the whiteboard and let's take a look at the problems. So if I have a problem of 3/4 plus 1/2, I can't add these two together as it is right now because the denominators are different. When I add, I must have a common denominator. To get a common denominator, there's a couple ways of doing it. I can take both denominators and multiply them together. 2 times 4 would be 8. And I could have a common denominator of 8. So I could come off to the side and I could take 3/4 and I can multiply it by 2/2. Okay? And I got the 2/2 because of this denominator right here. And then I could also take the 1/2 and I can multiply it by 4/4. I got the 4 from this denominator right here, the 4. And that would give me 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 times 1, 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8. Now my denominators are like denominators. They're both 8, the common. I can add those two together. My denominator will not change. I'm just going to take 6 plus 4, or I'm going to have 10/8. Now you have to reduce a fraction if they can be reduced. And I know I can reduce this by dividing it by 2. So I'm going to divide it by 2/2 because 2 goes into 10 evenly and 2 goes into 8 evenly. And that would give me 5/4. Okay? So I have to have like denominators. This is one way to do it. And the other way, if I want to find the least common denominator, then what I should do is I should look for factors of these denominators, okay? And factors are just saying 1 times 2, I'm sorry, hang on. Two times 3 times 4 times. And I want to know what the factors of 4 and the factors of 2 are. Once again, I'm using 4 and 2 because that is my denominator. And this is actually how I'm going to do it because I want to find the least common. It will work by multiplying them together, and sometimes that's the only way to get a common denominator, the least common. But other times, you'll have a smaller denominator. So I'm going to use the factor method. I'm going to say 1 times 4 is going to give me 4. 2 times 4 is going to give me 8. 3 times 4 is going to give me, I'm sorry. Let's try that again. One more time, guys. Let me do my math right here. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we catch them. Yeah, 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. And 4 times 4 is 16. I actually didn't make a mistake. I just thought I did. For some reason, when I had 8 here, I was making 3 times 8 is 24. I was calculating wrong. But 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. I'm going to do the same thing to 2. 1 times 2 is going to give me 2. 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. 3 times 4 is going to, 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. And 4 times 2 is going to give me 8. And if I look, I see I do have my 8 right here. Okay? I do see I have an 8 right here. That's in common with both of them. But if you look, I also have a 4 that's in common with both of them. Right here and right here. So I'm going to use 4. Okay? That's going to be my common denominator. So what I'm going to do is, I see that I have 3/4 right here, so I don't have to do anything. So I'm just going to bring it down 3/4 plus, then I have 1/2. How many times did I multiply 2 to get 4? Well, 2 times 2. So I'm just going to multiply it the 1/2 times 2/2. And that's going to give me 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. My denominator won't change. I have 3 plus 2, or I have 5/4, and it's already reduced, okay? It's the same answer. You'll get the same answer as long as you don't forget to reduce here. The only problem you'll run into is if they're not asking you for the answer of 5/4, and the question on the test says you have 3/4 plus 1/2. What is the least common denominator? Well, the least common denominator is 4, not 8. So you need to know how to do the factoring to find the least common. So I'm going to do a couple this way using the factoring method. So I can find, and I'm going to work with the least common denominator. So let me erase this, and let me put one up here, and I'm going to say I have 3/4 plus 1, well, let's make it 5/6, okay? I could multiply 4 times 6 and get 24, and that would be a common factor or common denominator, but is it the least common? I don't know. Let's find out. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times and 6 times. And I went to 6 because that's the bigger of my two denominators. So let's put 4 here. And I'm sorry. Let's put 4 here first, and then 6, because that's happens to be the way I see it. Had they been the other way around, I would have flipped them over. But 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12, 16, 20, and 24. And remember, I said 24 is a common denominator. Let's try this. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. There's the 24 that we have in common. I have 30 and 36. But let's see what I have in common here. I know I have a 24 in common, okay, because that's 4 times 6. But if you look, I also have a 12 in common. And I'm going to use the least common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite this. I've got 3/4 plus 5/6, okay? And I'm going to find my common denominator. So I took 4 to get 12. I multiplied it by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and take and multiply it by 3/3. And I look and I see I took 6. I multiplied it by 2 to get 12. So I'm going to multiply it by 2/2. So 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. So now I have the least common denominator, or the LCD. LCD. That means least common denominator. That's the smallest denominator for these two numbers, these two denominators. Now, I'm adding, I have a common denominator, so I'm not going to change my denominator now. I'm just going to keep the 12 right there. And I'm going to take 9 plus 10. 9 plus 10 is 19/12. And this can't be reduced because 19 is a prime number, 12 doesn't go into it. So it's done. This is my answer. And I'm going to leave it improper as long as it's reduced. I don't have to change it to a mixed number unless they tell you to. Or on some problems, an improper fraction doesn't make sense, then I would change it then too. But basically, I can just leave this here unless I have a reason to change it. Let me do one more. So we've got 6 fifths plus 4 thirds. Okay, I'm still going to do the factoring method, just double check and find the least common. If I multiply, I see a common denominator is 15. Let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm going to have a table, a t-chart. I'm going to 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and 6. I'm sorry, 5. That's all I need. Sorry, because I'm only going to go here on the factor table, whatever my greatest denominator is. So I'm going to bring 5 here and 3 here. So 5 times 1 is 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. 3 times 1 is 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And if you look in this case, then 15 actually is the least common denominator, which is the same thing as multiplying 5 times 3. But multiplying will not always give you the least common denominator, but sometimes it will. So what did I multiply the 5 by to get 15? And what did I multiply the 3 by to get 15? Well, I multiplied 5 by 1, 2, 3. So I multiplied 5 by 3. So it's going to be 3 over 3 times 5 over 6. Then I multiplied the 3 by 5. So it's going to be 5 over 5 times 4 over 3. So 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15. And these two fractions are the same value. They just look different because I'm multiplying it by 1. Any number over itself is 1. When I multiply any number by 1, it doesn't change. Now, it may change how it looks, but the value doesn't change. Same thing with this other one. I'm multiplying it by 5 over 5. Any number over itself is 1. So I'm multiplying 4 over 3 by 1. But the 1 looks like 5 over 5. So I take 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 3 is 15. It's over 15. So I add 18 plus 20. Remember, once I have that common denominator, if I'm adding or subtracting, it doesn't change the denominator. Once they're common, it stays. So now let's just add this up. 18 plus 20 will give me 38 over 15. And the only thing that goes into 15 is 3 and 5. And I know 5 doesn't go into 38. And I look and I see 3 doesn't go into 38. So there's my answer, 38 over 15. So I hope this helped clear it up a little bit. If you have any further questions, get with me and I will be more than glad to walk you through it. And had this been a subtraction, you just do whatever it says, just like you do right here. And remember your rules of positive and negatives. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you in class.